Hi, everyone. You are listening to Radio Cherry Bombe, and I'm your host, Carrie Diamond, coming to you from New York City. Today's guest is Aimee France, the self-taught cake artist who some of you know as Young Kombucha 420. Aimee is one of the most original cake artists and content creators around today. She's also one of the cover stars of our brand new holiday issue of Cherry Bombe Magazine, the Cake Issue, which feels especially fitting given how much she's influenced the cake world these past few years. A native of New Hampshire who is now Brooklyn-based, Aimee built an unexpected career out of flavor exploration, visual whimsy, and sheer work ethic. But as you'll hear, that path has not been without its challenges. Today, we talk about everything from her famously unique breakfasts and current nut butter obsession to the injuries that forced her to step back from cake production and rethink her future. Aimee opens up about burnout, entrepreneurship, her changing relationship with baking, and the quarter-life reassessment, we won't call it a crisis, reassessment that she's navigating right now. She and I talk about her influences as well, Tim Burton, claymation films, old school rap, and the fashion, art, and everyday city moments that fuel her creativity. If you love Aimee's work, or if you're in need of a little honesty and reinvention energy, this is the episode for you. Stay tuned for my chat with Aimee France. Today's show is presented by J.W. Marriott. Team Cherry Bombe is always on the move, that is for sure, traveling for events, photo shoots, gatherings, and of course, our annual Jubilee. Logging time in hotels is simply part of the job, but the best stays never feel like work, which is why we're inspired by J.W. Marriott's mindful approach to hospitality by creating restorative moments. Through serene spaces, garden-fresh ingredients, and thoughtful touches of nature, every J.W. Marriott stay is designed to bring care, joy, and mindfulness to your journey, helping you feel present, balanced, and fulfilled. A concept we can definitely get behind. Learn more and book your trip at jwmarriott.com. A little housekeeping. If you're looking for some excellent and unique holiday gifts, the Cherry Bombe Cyber Monday holiday sale is underway. Head to cherrybombe.com for a special deal on our print magazine subscription and tickets to our Jubilee Conference, happening in New York City on Saturday, April 25th. These are great gifts for foodie friends, colleagues, loved ones, and especially for yourself. Head to cherrybombe.com to shop and learn more. Now let's check in with today's guest. Aimee France, welcome to Radio Cherry Bombe.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
You are the queen of the unique breakfast. I am curious what you had for breakfast this morning.
Okay. In the winter, sometimes I wake up feeling a little bit nauseous, so I needed something very simple today. So I had a bagel just with butter and a scrambled egg, some stewed apples that I made, but I've been having them cold with a little bit of skyr yogurt, and I had a date. Really into lemon verbena rosemary tea right now. That's what I've been having every morning. A little bit of a green juice, and then I had an Americano I got the salted maple honey over the summer at a farmer's market in Jersey. So I've been putting that in my coffee. Just adds a nice touch of sweetness with a little fall flair.
That was definitely a unique breakfast. Did you say it was simple in the beginning?
I just kind of wanted something not too abrasive on the stomach.
You're very particular about yogurt.
Yes. Well, honestly, right now I got sent a lot of Icelandic Provisions yogurt. So much. I mean, I live alone, so I can only eat so much unless I give some to my friends. So I've really been going through it. I hate wasting food, so I've been eating it up. But I actually really do love their just plain skyr yogurt. It's one of my favorites.
Oh, that's
great
good to
texture.
Know. You said on Instagram that your new fall hobby is making nut butters.
Oh, yeah.
What is that all about?
I don't know, I'm just into it. I think it's fun. There's so many different types of varieties that you can do. I mean, I have this really nice food processor that I feel I never pull out because it's so big. And I used to have a mini one, and then I broke it when I was making a slushie by accident. So now I'm okay, now I really got to just start using this big food processor. I also feel I never really eat nut butter that often. So I don't know, just something new to try and make.
I eat a lot of nut butter.
Really?
Yeah, but I buy it. We did a big project in Portland, Oregon this year, and so I was at the farmer's market this late summer, maybe midsummer, and this one place had amazing nut butters because they grow hazelnuts out there.
Oh, yeah.
So they had hazelnut
That's the best way to get
butter.
it.
It was so good. I go through a lot of peanut butter.
easy to make. Less than 30 minutes.
Well, that was the big takeaway from watching you. You did this beautiful batch. It was like pumpkin seeds and I don't know, was it pecans and walnuts? But you caramelized the nuts, and it was so interesting to watch because I guess I had really never thought about what goes into nut butter.
I know. It's much more simple than you think, you know?
And it really was just 10 minutes in the food processor?
Yeah, with some like scraping. I think that's the tedious part, is like having to scrape down the sides. But you just got to have a little bit of patience. You know, Put on a podcast. Listen to your favorite song like 3 times in a row, and it'll be over.
That's a good way to think about it. You know what it is? There's so many things that are easy to make at home, but for some reason, we think they're hard. I think because sometimes we're so removed from the food system.
I would totally agree with that. Like yogurt. Yogurt is like so easy to make. I went through a phase of being obsessed with making it. Not this most recent summer, but the summer before. The easiest thing. You just have to like wait a night and then you have yogurt. Mm-hmm. Crazy.
Similarly, ricotta.
Oh my God, yeah.
The easiest thing in the world to make, and you feel like a magician.
I know. I've only made it like once.
I made it a few times. I think we have a recipe for it in the Cherry Bombe cookbook, but to even call it a recipe is ridiculous because
it's literally just like straining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, people, the takeaway is just go for it. Be a little bolder and have fun in the kitchen because these are fun projects.
Yeah.
You know, these aren't like making a grand cake, which we'll talk about because you're famous for that as well. Okay, so nut butters. Any combos?
Well, the one I made yesterday was good. That was pumpkin seed, pecan, and then I caramelized that in maple syrup and then just added salt and then a little bit of cinnamon. And that was it. And it was really good. And I made a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and brought it to the movies last night, and it was awesome.
Yeah, what movie did you see?
Oh, every year I go and see Nightmare Before Christmas in October. I just go by myself, and it was awesome.
Where are they playing that?
It's only on select nights. You gotta look it up and figure out the nights that they're playing it. But I saw it at AMC in East Village. Not my fave theater. First time going there.
Sorry, AMC.
Weird setup.
There are better theaters in the city. But that's a sweet tradition. I didn't even know that they show that in theaters. Are you a big Tim Burton fan?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I am obsessed with that movie.
Are you obsessed with all his movies?
I'm not like a huge movie watcher, honestly. I feel like I watch more holiday movies because I like the world that he has created. I love cartoony stuff like that.
Are you similarly a Wes Anderson fan?
I don't really haven't seen any of his movies. I've been to his cafe that he designed in Milan.
Oh, with the Prada Foundation.
Yeah, that was cool, but I'm not like a huge movie watcher.
I feel like you would love Wes Anderson. Some people might describe you as a character from a Wes Anderson movie.
Many people have said that in comments and stuff, and I'm like, thanks.
Coming from me, that's a compliment.
Cool.
Because I adore Wes Anderson. He's one of my favorite filmmakers right now. But similar to Tim Burton, creates a world. Mm-hmm. Now I'm wondering, is that why people love you so much? Because you've kind of created this world.
Maybe. Maybe unintentionally I've done that, or subconsciously.
You said, I go through fixations. Nut butter is obviously a fixation right now. Anything else you're fixated on this season?
Oh my gosh. Oh, I'm obsessed with cooking steak. That's also another quote unquote hobby. I want to get good at it. The same way that there was a point in my life where I was obsessed with perfecting baking recipes. I need to perfect cooking the steak. I love watching the YouTube videos about the best way to prepare this cut and this cut. It's kind of like a practice makes perfect type thing because, you can mess it up and it can come out really bad. But when you get it good, it can be really, really good.
Give us some steak tips.
Oh, God. I think you just
no
need
pressure.
You need to not be scared. I think, because one of my friends told me recently, which I don't know why I didn't put this together. You get so scared of cooking chicken because salmonella, But people eat raw red meat, so it's literally fine for it to be rare. You shouldn't be scared when you see the red. When you cook a steak and you're like, oh my God, this is too rare. It's probably not going to make you sick. So I feel like that's a good thing to have in your mind, that it's fine. It's going to be fine.
It didn't cross my mind that the fear factor might be from the steak being raw. I thought it was more, I don't like cooking things in my apartment that splatter a lot.
Oh.
And you really have to cook it on high heat if you want a sear.
Yeah. Maybe just get a cast iron that has a higher edge.
I do have a splatter guard. Do you know those?
Oh, yeah, like for when like you're cooking the bacon. Yeah, that's like a good thing to put. Yeah, it's a kind of
it's
mesh isn't the mesh.
Basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like a screen door, but
yeah, that's a good thing to put on top, I would say.
Are you making steak videos? I don't remember seeing many of those.
I don't know. I was making them when I was like visiting my parents because I was working on a grill. Sometimes in my apartment, I feel like I get a little, it's like when you're making pasta. Everything happens so fast that sometimes filming, I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to like mess up. I need to like focus on the steak and not the phone. You know what? I'll film one.
Yeah.
Next time I make one.
We'll be right back with today's guest. The holiday issue of Cherry Bombe Magazine, it's almost here. And the cover stars, Lucy Fran de Ferrière of From Lucy, Amy Yip of Yip Studio, and today's guest, Aimee France. The pages are packed with sweet stories, beautiful recipes, and gorgeous photography, all on thick, lush paper. The issue will be out in early December, so head to cherrybombe.com to pre-order or subscribe. For the cover reveal and behind-the-scenes videos, head to Cherry Bombe on Instagram. What else? Our next virtual Bomb Squad meeting is happening this Tuesday, December 2nd, from 3 to 4 p.m. EST. We're hosting a virtual cookie swap over Zoom with 3 fantastic cookbook authors and cookie authorities, Kat Liu, Sarah Kiefer, and Vaughn Vreeland. Our Bomb Squad host, Donna Yen, will talk to them about their holiday bakes, cookie trends, and all the tips and tricks we can squeeze in. Plus, they will answer your burning cookie questions. Actually, that said, no burning cookies, just burning questions. Our monthly virtual meetings are open to official Bomb Squad members and paid Substack subscribers. If that's you, check your email for the registration link. If you'd like to join us on Tuesday, there's still time to become a subscriber at cherrybombe.substack.com. See you tomorrow. One thing I want to ask you is, you've such a truly unique career. And I'm curious, how are you even navigating this? And do you stop much and think like, what is this crazy career I've carved out for myself?
I know, low-key, I feel like I'm just winging it. It's crazy how what happened, because I never saw this as my job. When I was in college, I was studying communications just because I was like, oh, I guess that's the major I'm going to choose. And I was going to start applying for like intro communications jobs. And then all of a sudden, this just kind of like came out of nowhere. I feel like definitely the pandemic had something to do with it and timing of starting a business around that. Now, because it started with the cakes. Well, actually, it like really started with me just posting pictures of food on Instagram and then gaining a following and then getting really into the baking and the cakes and then kind of like starting a business, selling a product. And then I think from that, just like so many other opportunities opened. Now I honestly like don't really know what the future is to bring, but my motto is always just let it come in and something good will happen at some point.
You were studying at Pace University.
Yes.
Here in New York City.
Yeah.
What did you think you would do for a living one day?
I literally didn't know.
You didn't
I had
know.
no idea. When I was in college, I went in undecided, and then I chose communications because that was the point where like I had to pick a major, and I only chose it because I didn't want to take statistics. I was like notoriously horrible at math my whole life growing up. I had a tutor. So that's why I chose communications. And then Pace offered a lot of really cool social media type classes where I took a class that was writing for media or something. And it was all kind of about, it was low-key like kind of media training type stuff. If you were to work at an actual communications job, like how you would communicate with the brand's audience via newsletters and stuff like that. How to like properly write emails, which I think is kind of a lost art and people don't know how to write emails anymore. But stuff like that, and like how you would properly communicate on social media to a large audience.
You grew up in New Hampshire, and you talk about New Hampshire a lot in your social. I know you didn't get into the colleges you wanted to go to, right?
Yeah.
But why New York? What was appealing about New York City?
Dream college was UVM. Didn't get in. And then I applied to, I think, Suffolk in Boston, and then Pace in New York. Pace was just kind of like, oh, well, like New York City, it's another city. I'll just apply. I don't know if I'm going to get in. Because honestly, like I didn't have the best grades in high school. I was kind of like a C's and B's, occasional D type of girl. I wasn't in any AP classes or anything. I got into Suffolk, got into Pace. I lived pretty close to Boston. Went to Boston and I was like, this is not the vibe. I don't think I could see myself living here. Like, no disrespect to Boston. Beautiful city. If you've ever been there, you know it. If like you live in New York and you go to Boston, it's a very different thing going on. And I was like, wow, well, okay, guess I don't want to go to Suffolk. Didn't get into UVM. Maybe I should go to Pace. They gave me a crazy scholarship, like the most money out of every school. And then I think the first time I ever visited New York City was to go to, you know how they do like the welcome days to like go visit the school? My parents and I went to New York, literally stayed in Times Square. That was evil. I don't know why my dad booked that hotel. He was just like, oh, I wanted you to get the New York experience.
Thanks, Dad.
Yeah. And then I viewed the school and then I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll go here.
What was going through? Well, gosh, Times Square. Listen, everybody. I love New York. Don't stay in Times Square for your first visit.
No, yeah, don't.
Pick a different
evil,
part of the
literally
city.
Diabolical.
So what were your first impressions?
It felt like what you saw in the movies. You know, I was just like, whoa, this is so crazy. It's so different than the suburb that I grew up in. And also, I remember having a moment of always wanting to be in the city. This is so random. But when I was like really young, I think I was like a freshman in high school, I went to a Tyler, the Creator concert in Boston. And I just remember like seeing everyone there and like everyone's fashion. And I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. It's so different than what I'm like used to every single day. Being in a city would be really cool because I feel like all these people are like, I don't know, we just have similar interests. I don't know. That was just a moment of me feeling like, oh, like I think being in a city would be cool. And then going to New York just happened with college.
Where is the Pace campus?
It's in the financial district. So I lived in FIDI for like my first year, which is an interesting place to
It's evolving.
live.
Our office is down there.
Yeah, this was like 2017. Very different time.
Pre-pandemic.
Yeah, like I haven't been down there in a while, but I feel like every time I go, I walk down the streets and I'm like, whoa, this is really built up now. Like really, none of this was here
Very
when
different.
I lived there.
Okay, so we covered college. Let me go back a step. So young Aimee, you're in high school, you're getting your B's, C's, and D's, not taking AP classes. That's totally cool. What were you into?
I grew up dancing my whole life, not competitively or anything. My mom allowed me to take one class for the year, and then it was like the recital. I never did competition. I think in middle school, I discovered cheerleading and like the world of cheer, and I was obsessed. It was my dream to do all-star cheerleading. It just like wasn't in the cards for me. I did school cheer. I was like in that world on Tumblr. I was so obsessed. So I was like a big cheerleader. I was a flyer. Humble brag.
What does that mean?
It means that I'm like the person that they would throw up in the air. I was a big cheerleader, obsessed with that. And then on top of that, I also grew up running. So I did cross country and track for a while. And then in high school, cheerleading ended because there's just like so much drama. But also I dislocated my elbow doing a round off bike handspring. So that ended the cheer career for me. But then I continued to run. I was like into fashion in high school for sure. I felt like sometimes I would wear things a lot of people at school weren't wearing because it was like a boot, you know, the vibe. I used to like buy and sell Supreme in high school.
It's very advanced for a high school student.
Yeah, my entrepreneurial mind was, you know, going around then. And I feel like I used to be a way more spontaneous person for sure. I mean, okay, I always had like a routine, but I feel like when I was a teenager, I was able to break it a lot easier than I am now. I loved partying and stuff for sure, which I'm not like the biggest partier anymore. I'm actually completely sober now. Yeah, I was kind of a different person. I had long hair, really long hair, almost to my waist.
Cheer era Aimee is throwing me for a loop. This is fascinating to me. I think I tried out for cheerleading like once or twice. I just could not ever remember the routines. And I was meant to be the editor of the school paper anyway. So, destiny put me on the right path. But I didn't know until I watched, what was the big reality show?
Oh,
was it called Cheer?
Yeah, I haven't watched it because I feel like it's going to make me really sad about that whole time. I know Gabby Butler's in it. She was like my queen. I was obsessed with her. Eventually, like I will, but I don't know, like mental purposes, I haven't watched it.
Yeah. I learned a lot about the intensity.
Oh, yeah.
And all the injuries. Like you talked about, you had an injury. You're dealing with another injury of sorts right now. I mean, anybody who's a fan of yours has noticed that you've moved away from the cake content somewhat. And in your first post, pinned right on your Instagram, is no more cake orders.
Yeah.
So I know you've talked about this online. What's going on?
So I got diagnosed with ulnar carpal abutment syndrome in both of my wrists. It's like a genetic thing. So basically it means that my ulna bone is long, and it's a lot longer than my radius. And it was going to happen over time. Eventually, like, this would have happened to me. It's just like, it doesn't really happen until later on in life, especially with intense repetitive stress. But basically the radius starts to like jam into the carpal area, causing this pain that like radiates into the elbow. Chronic pain, you kind of have to deal with it, but it makes working extremely difficult. I did get cortisone shots in my wrists, but that's just temporary. It's really made me reflect on the past, I guess, like 5 years of my life, because I started doing this full time in 2020, and just how much like I pushed myself really way too hard. And I mean, when starting a business and everything, you go, you don't really think anything of it, especially when you're a workaholic like I am. I think what I was doing the past 5 years was like awesome, and I'm really proud of everything that I achieved. But I think the past few months with the injury, I've kind of had to come to a point of acceptance and realization that I will never be able to produce cakes in the capacity that I was. It's just not sustainable for health purposes, and that's really making me rethink the trajectory of my career. So I feel like I'm kind of in a quarter-life crisis right now, honestly, because that was my full-time job. You may think I'm making crazy money because like someone has followers on Instagram doesn't mean that they're like bringing in the bank every month. Not to say that I'm not like comfortable and like able to support myself, because I am. That was my full-time job. And now I'm kind of trying to figure out like, okay, yes, I can make a few cakes a month, but I can't be making 5 to 6 cakes a week and then like 40 mini cakes every week.
And your main cakes were big productions.
Yeah.
Like some of these were wedding cakes, big occasion cakes.
Totally. And like they're heavy.
Well, first thing I want to say is I'm sorry about the pain, because that's terrible, and that you had to go through that. True. Those of us, who love you, I'm sorry you had to go through that. Did you ever think of maybe hiring a team and training them how to do cakes in your style, or that's not of interest?
I don't think that was ever of interest to me, because I feel like it takes away from the novelty of having the cake. I'm also like a control freak. Respectfully, like no one is going to do it the right way that I would do it. Another thing I've been thinking about the past few months with the cake business in general is, from the beginning, people would be like, are you ever going to open a bakery? Like, do you want a brick and mortar? And the answer has always been no. I have never seen myself doing cakes long term, forever. I never saw myself opening a bakery. Maybe like when I was 20 years old and I was like, well, this is like my job now. But yeah, that was never the thing. So I don't really see myself ever hiring someone unless I was maybe doing a catering thing and I needed help doing like a large scale production for an event. But yeah, I don't think so. Just the control freak in me.
I totally understand that. But I am thinking of folks like Christina Tosi, who was famous for the naked cakes and built a whole business out of that, via Milk Bar. And our mutual friend Lucy Franck de Ferrière, who opened From Lucy, down in the East Village, and has people making cakes now in the style of From Lucy. Let's talk about how the cake thing even began. Were you making cakes in high school?
Sort of. My senior year of high school, freshman year of college, when I was vegan, I started making cakes and posting them on Instagram just because I wanted a vegan dessert that tasted like a normal dessert. Because I think also that was like 2016, 2017, which was the height of raw vegan dessert. You know what I mean? Like everything had to be really healthified, and that was not the vibe I was going for. So I wanted to make desserts that were just normal, but they were vegan. And then I think a turning point was when I came to New York for college and I saw this world of vegan food that I had never been exposed to before. And I was like, whoa, there are chefs here and pastry chefs doing what I've been thinking about. And then I was able to eat all of this delicious vegan food versus what I would get in my hometown, which was like a gnarly slop bowl, basically.
I loved reading that when you went vegan, your mother said, well, you're going to have to cook because I am not a short order cook and making you a different thing every night.
Yeah, she did say that.
So you arrive in vegan nirvana, New York City.
And then I think that's when I started getting pretty interested in baking in general. I would bake cakes for holidays for my family just for fun or when I would visit home. When the pandemic happened was when I really locked in because I was doing online school. I never got to do an internship, which was technically a requirement to graduate, but they let that slide because of the circumstances. So
you could come intern at Cherry Bombe for a few weeks if you need to make up that credit.
Okay, noted.
Can I just ask, just so we have the timeline in our brains?
Yeah.
When did you graduate?
I graduated in 2021.
So you had a whole year of pandemic college, essentially.
Yeah. After we could go back to school, I continued to stay online. I never went back to campus.
Did you finish school in New Hampshire from your parents' apartment, or were you still in New York just taking classes via Zoom?
I was in New Hampshire because literally the day before the world shut down, which was March 13th, I was on a bus to go home on March 12th to visit my parents for like my birthday, because my birthday's on the 11th. So I went to go visit my parents for my birthday, got home on the 12th, and then my dad, because we were going somewhere, my dad was like, oh, the hotel just canceled our reservation. And I was like, what? And then I just got stuck there. I couldn't come back, which was honestly a blessing in disguise because I had a crazy roommate back then.
Roommate, if you're listening, sorry. You start baking. You start decorating these cakes. You are famously self-taught. You teach yourself via, did I read this right, YouTube and Reddit?
Yeah,
Is that
like
how you learned
YouTube, Reddit, trial and error, just like looking up recipes online, mostly for measurement quantities, and then being able to compare those to like measurements that I would make up myself. And that was all during the pandemic. And that's what I kind of considered my internship, was just like me teaching myself stuff. I gained the following on Instagram during that time just because I was posting everything. And then by the time I came back to New York, which was like August 2020, that's when I was like around the time where I considered doing a pop-up because I was like, okay, I have this product, I have this following. I think it's good. A lot of people around me are telling me that it's good. Maybe I should try to sell it.
And that's how you wound up at Hester Street.
Yeah,
Market.
that was the first pop-up. And then from that, when I started taking commissioned orders was September of 2020.
Talk to me about your cake decorating style, because that, for me, is one of the things that stood out. I noticed you and Frosted Hag and From Lucy and a few other people, because all of a sudden there were these cakes that just didn't look like anybody else's cakes. How did you develop that?
This is such like an annoying answer, but like it really just kind of came out of nowhere. I used to just messily frost it with an offset. And then one day I was like, I think I'm going to pipe this cake. My mom gave me all of these piping tips. I tried to put a piping tip in the bag. I got like all pissed off. Like I couldn't get it to stay in. I was like, I can't do this. I just cut the tip of the piping bag without a tip anything. Like I just like cut the bag itself and I just like piped a cake, and that's just kind of like how it came out. And I was like, oh, I guess that looks kind of cool. And then from there, I kind of just started doing different patterns and lines and dots, different combinations. And the cakes just kind of came out like that. I feel like they almost look like they're out of a cartoon, which is the vibe I'm going for sure. It just kind of happened.
Did you eventually start using a piping bag with tips, or you just stuck to what you were doing?
Yeah,
okay.
I still don't use one.
Looking at the cakes, that's amazing. I don't want to say the lopsided nature, but sort of the off-kilterness of the cakes. Was that on purpose too, or was that sort of an accident initially?
I guess it was an accident. I think it's just like gravity. I'm not like properly French pastry trained. Sometimes there's a little bit of an askew cut.
Askew. That's the perfect word.
And that's fine. Because, like some people, like they're making cakes, they're bringing out the ruler. You know that thing that balances? So like you make sure it's completely straight. They're doing like the math behind, like I'm not doing all that. I mean, like, yes, I'm doing some math. I'm not like making it precise to make it completely perfectly stacked and leveled.
I have two favorite moments in sort of 2020's cake history. One was when we did a panel at our old Cooks and Books festival that we used to do. And it was, I think it was Frosted Hag and Janae Kai from Bipella and maybe Lucy was on that and a few other folks. And we had some star pastry chefs in the audience. And somebody asked Madeline from Frosted Hag, how do you cut and serve the cake?
Oh my God, I remember that.
Because you've got an audience full of women who for their entire careers had to maximize how many slices you would get out of a cake. Like think of a wedding cake. You've got to serve, 100, 200, 300 people. How are you going to slice that sheet cake so that everybody gets a uniform slice? So somebody says to Madeline, how do you cut and serve the cake? And her answer was, I don't know if she said, I don't care. But the vibe was, I don't care. You bought the cake. It's your cake. Serve it however you want. And I could almost hear the old school pastry chefs gasp. Like they couldn't believe that was the answer. And I think your cakes have a similar...
She's too funny for
that. Your cakes have a similar vibe.
Mm-hmm. No, totally. I feel like people sometimes ask me the same question. I mean, I think now I have like a way that I like know how to cut it to maximize. But a lot of times people like don't know how to approach it. I'm just letting you know there's a dowel. Just be careful.
Because you have made some famous wedding cakes.
Yes.
You did Karen Elson, who we adore, Chloe Sevigny.
Mm-hmm. That was like one of my first big cake orders. Shout out Chloe. That was a crazy day.
I guess they figured out how to cut the cake.
Yeah, they did.
A second favorite moment from 2020's cake history was when Martha Stewart discovered you.
Oh my God.
And commented on your Instagram.
I'll never forget the night she followed me. I literally like screamed, audibly screamed. It was like 10 o'clock at night. I immediately called my mom and she thought something bad happened. She was like, what's wrong? I was like, Mom, no, it's not bad. I just have to tell you this right now.
But it wasn't so much the following as her comment. She said, I notice your cakes are a little lopsided.
Oh my God, yeah.
Have you ever considered using a dowel? And your followers went nuts.
I know. Why'd they get all mad at her? I was like, guys, chill. She doesn't get it.
Well, like, I think the gist of your followers' comments were like, are you new here? Because this is Amy's style. This is what her cakes look like. But I just thought it was so funny. But again, pointing to that kind of old school, cakes need to be upright. They need to be cut. They need to be designed and created in a way that they could be cut and maximized. What was your thought when Martha Stewart was like, hey, use a dowel?
I was like, okay, well, first off, there is a dowel in it. But like, I get where you're coming from. Like she's the queen of law and order. You know what I mean? Of just food and everything in life. It has a way it's like supposed to be done. And I'm like that too, but like in a different way. So I respected it.
Have you met her yet in person?
I went to her property once. I was just like working as someone in the kitchen because one of my friends was doing something. I didn't meet her that day. I did meet her at an event. I don't think she like knew who I was. Like I talked to her briefly for a second because so many people were asking for pictures with her. And my friend and I were like, oh, like we should, I don't want to bother her. And then she like walked away from the pictures and just like made a silly comment to us. And we were like, yeah, girl. And that was like that. And I was like, oh my God.
Martha is...
And she's fabulous, and she was wearing like huge wedges, which was crazy.
I've never seen her in wedges, but Martha is all that, 100%. Okay, Young Kombucha 420. You have moved away from that name. You are professionally Aimee France now.
Yeah.
And that's such a great name. France is your real last name?
Yeah.
So
shout out my parents for that. They came through.
Young Kombucha 420. Okay, so you've got kombucha and then 420, the famous number signifying marijuana. What was that handle all about?
Okay, so I was just trying to find a name for my food Finsta account. We were in the prime era of when SoundCloud rap was everything, and like all the rappers' names were like Young whatever. So I was like, okay, I guess that could be funny. So I started it with Young. This was literally the thought process behind it. I was like obsessed with kombucha. So I was like, okay, I'll do kombucha. And then I was like, all right, but it needs like a number. So I did 420 because like I used to smoke and I thought it was funny. And that was literally it. Somehow it like picked up and had amazing SEO, which was not my intention. It was just a username for like a Finsta,
it's
basically.
So funny. I mean, it's like a name that you would get from one of those rap name generators or something. Yeah. Oh my gosh. So have you retired it completely?
People can they can still call it like the Young Kombucha cake. Someone posted me in a story of that yesterday, and I thought it was kind of beautiful. I was like, yeah, you can still call it that. I respect that.
Let's talk about flavor combinations with your cake, because one of your, I think, underappreciated skills is flavor combinations. Mm-hmm. And I always marveled at reading what went into one of your cakes, from the flavor of the frosting and the fillings and the sponge. Can you walk us through some of your favorites and how you put those combinations together?
Whenever I write a description of a cake, I think when you go to a lot of restaurants, they're not writing everything that is actually in it, because they need to simplify it down for the average person to be able to digest it and be like, okay, like I actually want to eat this. And I feel like when I post a flavor combination, I'm literally writing out everything, every element of each component, so that if another person wanted to try to recreate it, they have all of the ingredients listed out for them. So that's why they seem very long and extensive. A lot of people would say they don't think things go together, but I think I'm one of those super taster people, which I genuinely think I have that, which is a blessing and a curse when it comes to food. For some reason, I'm able to put flavor combinations together, and I think with practicing cooking over time, you kind of learn what would pair well together, and you're able to just know, oh, this would go well with this, or oh, grapes are in season now, maybe I should do some type of nut butter to pair with that. That could be cool. So that's the thought process, I guess. What did I do recently? Okay, every fall, back to these nut butters, keep bringing them up, but it's fall. Every fall, I like to make what I call a fancy peanut butter and jelly cake. All it means is it's some type of jam, and then there's a nutty element to it. In the past, I've used sesame or peanut butter or whatever, but I made a cake a few days ago that was just a plain olive oil cake. And then I made this end of summer fruit jam. It had chocolate ganache in it. Oh, I also did a layer of peanut butter, because I like when there's a lot of different textures in the cake. So it's just not buttercream and cake mush. And then I did a peanut butter chocolate chip buttercream. Chocolate, peanut butter, jam. You got a little bit of acidity from the jam to cut the richness of the peanut butter and the ganache. And then you got crunch from the peanut butter inside, and then the chocolate chips. And yeah, that one was fun. And everyone really liked it.
Sounds beautiful. Talk to me about your frostings. What kind of buttercream are you working with?
An American adjacent. People always ask American or Swiss meringue, and I'm kind of a secret third thing.
Wait, I kind of love that. Because American butter, I love American buttercream, but it's a bit much when you think about it. But then I find the fancy meringues, I don't know, they just don't do it for me from a taste perspective.
There's a time and a place for both. I personally like a saltier buttercream, so I like definitely heavily salt it just because I think it helps cut the sweetness of the other elements of the cake. I actually made Swiss meringue for the first time over the summer, literally my afternoon from hell. Oh my God, that, I think definitely once you make it a lot, like you probably get really good at it, but I was like on the verge of a baking meltdown and I haven't had one of those in a long time. That, oh my gosh, that was really something.
Wait, walk us through the process. I've made American buttercream that takes almost zero skill. Tell us what goes into Swiss meringue.
Oh God. First you have to temper the eggs or something with the sugar, I think. And then...
So you don't wind up with scrambled egg frosting.
Yeah, and then that has to be like the right temperature. And then you add it with, I think there was like a little bit of powdered sugar in it. I might be missing a step. And then you just have to like whip it for so long. And then it will get soupy and break. And it's like constantly whipping it, putting it in the freezer so it gets the temperature, taking it out, whipping it. It literally took all day.
What kind of flavorings and colorings? You've such an interesting color palette with your frostings.
I only use natural dyes. To make things blue, I use butterfly PT powder. Green, it would be matcha. I make a gray or black one that I use activated charcoal for. If I ever do like pink, there's probably a jam or something involved. I used to have like cranberry powder at one point that I used. I don't really remember if that made it super.
Oh yeah, I saw
pink.
Recently there was dragon fruit powder.
Oh yeah.
That was pink. I was like, oh, I need to play with that.
Yeah, there's a lot of new stuff on the market, I feel like.
The freeze-dried raspberries add so much nice color.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I forgot about those.
That's a fun ingredient too.
But yeah, that's usually how I color them. And then there's just different shades of an off-white cream color depending on the cake. I don't know, with those natural things, you got to be careful because you got to remember like chemistry. Because I know with the butterfly PT, you can't make any type of citrus buttercream with that because it reacts and it will turn like a pink color. So if you want pink, but it's not going to turn blue.
That's why it's fun to put it in lemonade.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
So kids, pay attention in science class if you want to grow up and be a baker one day.
Yeah.
I want to talk about some work things. And we touched earlier on what a unique career you have. And I'm curious how you feel about terms like influencer and content creator. You just kind of grinned/grimaced. Do you dislike those terms? Are they limiting to the people who are making a career out of posting on social media?
I don't know. There's so much negative talk around the term influencer, I think. It's kind of what you make of it. I wouldn't consider myself to be like a traditional influencer because I did have this business. The reason I am an influencer now is because of my business. There's so many influencers I watch online that are influencers specifically from posting videos, but they have a very creative outlook and, like their own very specific style of what they're doing, blah, 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 blah. I think right now, like I said, I'm having my quarter life crisis with my career. Yes, I have a business and a specialty, but also at the same time, I'm kind of becoming an influencer in a way.
Quarter life crisis aside, do you have a few things planned for the near future that you would like to achieve? I'm sure everyone asks you about a cookbook.
Yeah. Cookbook, I don't know, humble brag, but I've been approached a lot about the cookbook and it's not the right time. When I was doing the cakes, I was so burnt out that I feel like I'm still kind of coming out of it, but the thought of thinking creatively like that, I couldn't wrap my brain around it. I need to be making the cakes right now. I don't have time to do this. So I think I would like to make a cookbook at some point, but I don't think I want it to be just a cake baking book, but maybe at some point.
Any other professional wish list things? Do you want to make a TV show one day?
I don't know. I love making little food videos. I think that has been a creative outlet for me for sure, which has been fun. A lot of people tell me I should get into more modeling stuff, which is kind of crazy to me, but I think it could be cool. I love becoming a little character. I do love fashion, and that's been a thing forever. I think when I was really in the thick of my business, I didn't care about looks. It was literally all the business. I woke up, I wore the same thing every day, just baked. And I think now that I actually have time to like go through my closet and get ready for the day, I've found a new love for that. So maybe like even doing more fashion-y lifestyle thing on social media as well. I love consuming that type of content, so why shouldn't I make what I like to watch?
You were baking and you weren't really paying that much attention to it. You always did have an aesthetic.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah.
It was underlying. I didn't really realize it was happening.
Are you making videos all by yourself? Do you have a team?
Nope. I just film it on my iPhone that has like no storage. Getting a new one soon. But yeah, constantly like deleting videos and then just editing on CapCut.
You talk a lot about rest and burnout. Are you getting better? I know you've stepped back from the cakes like we discussed, but are you getting better at resting and dealing with burnout?
I think so. I think that the injury was a rude awakening, but also like a blessing in disguise of showing me it's like something that needed to happen for me to be able to reflect on like the past 5 years of my life, because you got to do what you got to do to like start something. And I'm so grateful for everything that has happened to me. But I look back at those 5 years, especially because I was 20 years old and it like started pandemic, and then I never really had a true college experience. Like I only had a year and a half of college. I never went out during my early 20s. I never really saw my friends. I was always in my apartment, always baking, always turned down plans. Like I'm very self-disciplined. I did everything in my capacity to make my business what I was and like kind of grow my career. And I made a lot of social sacrifices to do that. And now looking back, I was really depressed during that time. And it might have not looked like it on social media, but I really was. I really had no life besides the business. So that it can kind of like show what, I don't know, social media can like really make a light of everything. And I think now being able to like look back and have that realization, I've like, maybe it's also like my frontal lobe fully being developed. I think I finally found myself and I'm like becoming happy with life again. Not that I like wasn't during that time, but I don't know, I'm like finding joy in things that I wasn't able to find joy in before because I was so hyper-focused on just starting this business and having this career.
I'm sure a lot of entrepreneurs can relate to that. It's hard and it's lonely.
It's very lonely.
I think that's one of the things that they don't talk to you about regarding entrepreneurship. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's like, how can I be lonely because I'm dealing with so many people in the course of a week? But there's something very isolating about it.
No, totally. But then you also like, you stress yourself out because you're like, I shouldn't be feeling like this because so many good things are happening to me. But while those things are happening to you, you're like, why don't I feel excited? This is like something like so amazing just happened and I literally feel nothing. Why is that?
Do you have mentors or advisors or a sounding board who sort of helps you with a lot of these things?
I mean, I have a manager who
That's
like,
good.
We're like good friends and we talk about stuff, you know, just future of career and things like that. And it's nice to have like another voice in that of someone that supports you career-wise in that way. Because I feel like before I had her, it was me calling the shots, which like love, but also sometimes you need that other person.
And you talk about your parents a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like they've been big influences on you.
Yeah, we're pretty close. When I was younger and I was a teenager, I was kind of like too cool for school. But I think as I've gotten older, you know, you really come to like appreciate your parents, especially if you are in a position where you're lucky enough to have them in your life and they really care. So I try to make it a priority to visit as much as I can because I just love being home. It's a safe space for sure.
I would love to know some of the things that influence you, like cultural influences, not food necessarily, but you talked about Tim Burton. Are there other things that influence you or kind of fuel you? Art, music?
Oh, love music for sure. Always listening to music.
What do you listen to?
I got a really like vast genre of stuff. I love old rap for sure. That's what I listened to a lot in high school. I would listen to that, but I also love classical. I used to be like 2018 Aimee was like a rave girl. I kind of like a little bit of everything, honestly. I always say to someone like when you make a playlist, I need to have a lot of variety on it because you don't want to know what's coming next on it. So definitely music. I love cartoons. I grew up watching a lot of cartoons and Tim Burton-esque movies. I think a big influence was like, I love claymation movies and all of, specifically like those Christmas ones. I'm obsessed with those. That's like the world in my brain is like those little worlds. So I love those. I love people watching and seeing what people are wearing around the city just because, you know, everyone has their own unique sense of style and it's cool to see what people are putting together every day.
I think what you said about playlists, you can kind of apply to your life and career when you said, I don't want to know what's coming next.
Yeah, that's kind of beautiful, actually. I agree with that.
You did an art residency in Italy.
Oh, yes, I did.
I read that somewhere and I was like, that sounds amazing. I missed that if you shared it on social media. What was that all about?
So I applied for it the year before and I didn't get it. And then I applied again and then I did get it. And I was like, yes. But basically, I wanted to go to kind of like reignite the flame of food because that was at a point where I was feeling super, super burnt out. And like, I felt like my passion for baking cakes had really gotten to an all-time low. And that was a beautiful experience. I couldn't have asked for like a greater time there. The people that hosted me, that was who I made the fancy peanut butter and jelly cake for recently because they're having a baby and they came back to New York for the baby shower.
Where in Italy were you?
I was in a little town called Lesa, which is an hour outside of Milan. It's northern Italy. Little like village vibe. Everyone was very old and you weren't going shopping, you know what I mean? Like you had to drive to go to any major market, but it was awesome. Like I loved having my routine every day. We would make dinners all the time and we'd go to the farmer's market and then have dinner parties. It was really awesome. I couldn't have asked for like a better experience there for sure.
What was your art practice while you were there?
It was an inspiration trip for me. That's what they allowed me to do. And then at the end, we had a art show and it was me and another girl. The other girl that went was a painter. So she made a ton of paintings. And then I made massive tiramisus. I made like a really, really, really tall tiramisu. And then kind of a table of, you know, like when you go to an event in New York and someone does like a beautiful table display and it's kind of like food as art. That's what I did with a ton of local cheeses and produce that all of the people there were very familiar with. But the thing about the art show was it was like a multi-generational party. So there were a lot of older people there that had never seen food displayed like that. No one thought you could eat it. Yes, it's like a beautiful food display, but you're supposed to eat it. And I thought that was really cool that me doing that was like their first introduction as ever seeing food as art like that. I don't know. That kind of like blew my mind.
All right, let's do a speed round. We'll get you out of here. What beverage do you start the day with?
Water.
What's a favorite cookbook of yours? Do you read cookbooks?
I feel like I get sent a lot of them, but I love Haley Catalano's cookbook. Shout out, Haley. I feel like I've made so many of her recipes. The book is just great. If you don't have it, you should get it. I love it.
What's always in your fridge?
Eggs.
Most used kitchen tool or implement?
Oh, mini spatula or mini tongs.
Oh, I love a mini tong.
Yeah.
Great, right? Favorite snack food?
I love dates.
I love dates. Are
Yeah.
you a Rancho Meladuca?
Oh, yeah, those
fan?
are good. Those are good.
When we did Jubilee out in L.A., I went to the Santa Monica Farmers Market and got the Barhi dates and the classic dates and still enjoying them and happy as a clam.
I'm going to L.A. in a few weeks. I got to hit up the date person at the farmer's market. It's so crazy. There's like so many different varieties.
So many different varieties. And I hate to say it, New York, we just don't get the good dates or the good avocados.
We don't.
So I stocked up on pomegranates, avocados, dates, walnuts, and grapefruits.
Yeah, I'm checking a bag for that.
Yep.
That reason.
What was your favorite food as a child?
Okay, one thing. This is like the first thing that comes to mind. A dinner that I used to always love was my mom would buy frozen fish sticks and I would like eat that with peas and mashed potatoes and it was awesome. And now as an adult, we'll like make it from scratch and it's kind of awesome. It's like the little kids dinner.
Yeah, I grew up on that too. Just add some Kraft macaroni and cheese and chef's kiss. Favorite food smell?
Oh, maybe like a mirepoix when it's cooking. It just reminds me of my mom making pumpkin soup or like Portuguese soup for dinner in the fall. You know, like that perfect fall day. Step inside after like being outside for a while and that's the smell that hits you. Good one.
What are you streaming right now?
I feel like I don't really watch TV that often, but I watched the most recent movie I watched online. I watched Edward Scissorhands.
Classic.
Yeah, classic.
You don't see a lot of movies and you don't really stream that much. What do you do in your downtime? Are you a big reader? No.
That sounds so horrible. I feel like I'm like always cleaning.
Okay.
Like I feel like I'm like always like cleaning my apartment or just like doing little tasks. I go on like a lot of walks and I feel like a hobby of mine is I do a lot of like stretching, back to cheerleading, obsessed with stretching. I go to like Pilates or yoga classes.
Cool. What's on your travel bucket list?
Oh, one day I really want to go to Paris.
Oh, I feel like that's a video series the world is waiting for.
I know. I feel like they would scoff at me because of my name. They'd be like, oh, it's always been somewhere I wanted to go.
Or it might make them smile.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
They hear my name and they smile. I had a friend who always called me Diamant. So they might love that your name is France. I want a video series of you in Paris and you in Japan.
Oh, Japan would be cool. Yeah.
I would watch that.
Maybe one day.
If you had to be trapped on a desert island with one food celebrity, who would it be and why?
Maybe my girl Martha. Yeah.
That's the TV show I want to watch. You and Martha Stewart stuck on a desert island. Tell us why Martha.
I don't know. I feel like we got a lot in common, low-key. She's got a way of doing things, you know? We would survive. I could say that. We would really survive on that island somehow.
I have no doubt. Aimee France, you are delightful.
Oh, thank you.
Has been so nice talking to you. And
yeah, you as well.
I just hope you know how much we love you.
Thank you. And thanks for being like a day one supporter. For real. We go way back.
We do. Our pleasure. Thanks for your time, Aimee.
Thank you.
That's it for today's show. Thank you to Aimee France for joining me. I hope you all pick up a copy of Cherry Bombe's cake issue with Aimee on the cover over at cherrybombe.com. We had so much fun working on the photo shoot, and I loved interviewing her for the cover story. I learned a lot about her. Also, take a peek at our Cyber Monday sale at cherrybombe.com. You can get a good deal on a Cherry Bombe subscription and snag that Aimee issue at the same time. Our theme song is by the band Tra La La. Special thanks to City Vox Studio in Manhattan. Our producers are Catherine Baker and Jenna Sadu. Our executive assistant is Bridget Pittman. And our head of partnerships is Rachel Close. Thanks for listening, everybody. You are the bomb.